The gorgeous final trailer for Disney's live-action Beauty and the Beast has arrived. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, it's Jan here, and in this video I'm going to take a look at some of the cool Easter eggs and things you might have missed in the trailer. If you spotted anything else, be my guest and let me know in the comments below. Near the start of the trailer, we see Belle teaching a young girl to read and pointing to a page with a bluebird on it. The page says "the bluebird that flies over the dark wood," which is a nod to the bluebirds that fly over the wood at the very start of the animated movie, and also to the blue-coloured bird that appears during the song Something There. When we hear that song in the original film, Belle is trying to bring out the beast's gentler side by encouraging him to feed the birds in his garden. At first, they're all scared away with the exception of a little bluebird who jumps into his hand. By the way, if you look closely at what Belle's wearing as she teaches the young girl in the trailer, you'll notice that her cardigan also has bluebirds embroidered into the pattern. And just after this scene, we also see Belle walking down the village street reading a book, just like in the original 1991 animation. And no one adds humour to this trailer quite like Gaston when we hear the words "You are the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen," and then we see that Gaston is actually talking to himself, admiring himself in a mirror. This is a clever and funny riff on Gaston's opening song in the original animation, where he sings the line "There is only she who is beautiful as me," while admiring his reflection in a silver tray. Later in the trailer, we also see a few more shots of Gaston. In the first, he's standing beneath an inscription that reads "Gaston the Hunter," which is a nod to the portrait of him in the animated movie where he poses with a gun. However, in this remake, it looks like Gaston's weapon of choice may have been changed to a sword rather than a gun, as this picture of him here shows him posing with a sword and the words "Gaston the Victory." There's also a slightly different setup for Belle's father, Maurice, in this movie, when we see him taken prisoner by Beast for picking a white rose. In the 1991 movie, he was captured after stumbling into the Beast's castle, looking for a place to take shelter. This use of the white rose in Disney's live-action movie looks like it was inspired by the 1946 French film La Belle et la Bête by Jean Cocteau, where Belle's father is caught by the Beast when he takes a rose from the Beast's garden. And when we see the Beast's horned shadow appear over Maurice in the grounds, it's a callback to the same thing happening to Maurice as he sits in a chair in the Beast's castle in the animated feature. In the trailer, it looks like Belle hits Lumiere over the head with a small wooden stool after she's shocked to see a talking candlestick, which reminds me of the scene where Maurice drops Lumiere after being similarly scared in the 1991 film. This trailer also shows us a bit more of Chip, and we get to see him do his bubbles trick again, just like he did when Belle first took a cup of tea in Disney's animated movie. Just like the original, we see Belle flee the Beast's castle after he flies into a rage, and as she's escaping through the woods, she's also attacked by a pack of wolves. After the Beast comes to her aid and gets injured, Belle goes to help him and says, "You have to help me. You have to stand." This is a subtle nod and acknowledgement of the fact that the 1991 movie skips over how Belle managed to lift the unconscious and enormously heavy Beast onto her horse alone. The second part of the trailer introduces the new version of the original Oscar and Grammy Award-winning Beauty and the Beast song, which begins with the line "Tale as old as time" and is now performed by Ariana Grande and John Legend. If you're wondering why this is a duet when it's just Mrs. Potts who sings it in the original movie, well, this is a pop version which will play over the end credits in the final film. Just like Celine Dion and Peabo Bryson recorded a pop duet of the song back in 1991. And as Emma Thompson plays Mrs. Potts in the new movie, we'll presumably hear her sing a more traditional version of the song during the film. When Beast shows Belle his library, he mentions that some of the books are even in Greek. This is likely a reference to the origins of the Beauty and the Beast story in the French 18th century tale La Belle et la Bête, which itself was influenced by the Greek myth Cupid and Psyche. Later in the trailer, we also see Belle's hand on a map of the world, a nice hint at how she wants much more than this provincial life, as she sings in the 1991 film. And it's also a little shout out to the globe we see in the Beast's library and in the bookshop that Belle loves to visit in that film too. And there are more nostalgic callbacks to the original 1991 animation as the tale as old as time plays over the trailer. For example, Belle and the Beast pick up their bowls to eat. There are some fantastic shots of what we'll see during the new Be Our Guest song, and Gaston and Lefou sing and dance in what looks like will be a spectacular scene in the tavern. Also, while it is more or less a recreation of the same scene from Disney's original movie where Belle sings her song, there's also a Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music vibe to the circle shot of Belle standing on a grassy hilltop overlooking a sweeping vista. And there's a very nostalgic moment when Belle curtsies to the Beast just before they dance in the ballroom. You'll want to look carefully during this scene as we get our first glimpse of Cadenza, who's swaying gently in the background. Cadenza is a grand piano and a new character created for the live-action adaptation. He's played by Stanley Tucci and is described as a neurotic maestro. A grand piano did appear in the ballroom scene in the first animation, however it wasn't a live character. We also get some shots of what looks like a ball going on in the castle. This could be showing us some of the Beast's backstory before he was cursed. We know that Prince Adam's mother and father, the King and Queen, have been cast in this movie, so we could get to see some of what life was like in the castle before the spell. So what did you think of the final trailer for the new Beauty and the Beast movie, and how do you think it's going to compare to Disney's 1991 animation? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, do please hit that thumbs up button, share and subscribe. And you can check out more of my Disney videos by tapping or clicking right here. Thanks for watching and see you next time, yippee-ki-yay movie lovers!